Gavin in the house. Gavin, how you doing? If you want to jump up and give us any thoughts, I was just about to mention, I don't know if I did mention it, I was just about to mention, what do you think about what I saw you're going to do some spaces. If you want to plug those spaces for the free, what's happening with Craig in court this week? Is he going to get sent up for contempt? Are they going to do a Trump, a mugshot, a Craig mugshot? I mean, that would be the second best mugshot ever. What do you think, Dave? I think you're going to put Craig in jail. You got any thoughts on that? Or anybody else, feel free to jump up here. In the meantime, we'll do another spaces soon. I don't know when it'll be. Check out Gavin's profile. I know you can see him in there. Gavin Mel, MEHL. He's going to do some spaces about Craig this week. And other than that, I don't know what else is happening. But Daniel, are you still with us?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll say that, well, can we make a bet? There's that not Satoshi dice, but there's
Polymarket or a little bit or whatever it is.
Little bit, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Do they have a bet on that for Craig Wright goes in jail? What are the
Let's see.
What are the odds on it? I think they have something about his whether he's going to be in contempt of court. I'm going to say that he is going to go to jail because that would be the most annoying thing that would happen.
Yeah, in fact, there is one, and it's 88% say yes, he'll be found in contempt of court. It's not whether or not
88%.
Yeah.
And this is with people who have BSV.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The most coping of the copers, and they think he's still going.
I don't know if I want to. I don't know if maybe I would bet against that since it's so extreme now that you could make a pretty good.
8-to-1's not bad value there, I think.
Yeah.
If you want to go in that direction.
So now that I know that him getting contempt of court is the conventional wisdom, I'm going to go against that and say that he's not going to be contempt of court.
Okay, yeah, I respect that move. I'm taking the bridge jumper. I'm going yes. Because I think that he just, these things, it's so corrupt that why would they not? Go ahead. What do you think, Gavin? Where's the smart money?
Did I hear something about jail, about somebody going to jail? Is that what you said?
Yeah, is Craig going down this week? What's the legal analysis? The prediction market, did you hear us say the prediction market says 89% when you round it, he'll be found in contempt, not jail, but contempt.
Oh my gosh. You want some real Perry Mason drama, some modern day courtroom drama? Is that what you want to talk about here?
You know
it. This is going to be every BTC Max, every small blockers wet dream is on the table right now. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine the small blockers are just fantasizing Craig behind bars?
Yeah. It's their total wet dream, and I think that if it happens, they won't even realize that it's not going to end up well for them. But go ahead. What are your thoughts on the matter?
Yeah. So all right. I mean, let me just frame the issues here. So there's so much confusion around what's going on. There's first of all, Craig was sued by Copa. Remember, he was extremely confident coming into this because he won the Kleiman trial. So now this all started from the Kleiman suit where Dave Kleiman died. His brother, a very greedy person, sued Craig because he wanted a bunch of money. Now, Craig offered him billions of dollars, not just pennies and nickels go away, like billions of dollars, just in good faith to the brother that he didn't even know Dave had because, Kleiman, he loved Kleiman so much. I mean, he was his best friend. And so he really, he adored him. And you could see that back if you look at his early videos. I think it was like 2013. He did a Kleiman video when he died and he found out about it. He didn't even know he had a brother. Offered him billions of dollars, and Kleiman's brother didn't take that. And he sued him. and they battled that case out for 5 years. It was a brutal case. It was a brutal litigation, and it went all the way up until I think it was 2022. Then he won at trial, and that was a jury trial. And the jury found that he was the only rightful holder to all the original Satoshi coins. Now that is right. And what happened is that at the end of that, it went to appeal, and the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal, which would be over the Florida State, the Florida Circuit Court down there, they determined that the origins, if you read the holding, it's about the origins of the creation of Bitcoin were to be determined in this case. And it's the very first line in the 11th Circuit Court's decision. And they say, in this case, there was a dispute about the origins of the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. And then they determined in the holding that there was no partnership agreement, and therefore the party who was suing Craig, Kleiman's brother, the estate of Dave Kleiman, was not entitled to those, and it was only going to be under the Wright's holding. So Wright was entitled to all of the holdings over the original founding coins over Bitcoin. This is settled. It's a matter of law. It's done. It's not in dispute. So then Craig was extremely confident about that, and he, I think it's probably possible that he baited them, but either way, Copa sued Craig. And if you look at what Craig had written on this, seems to be that's what he wanted to have happen. He wanted to get sued by Copa. He didn't want to sue them, but they sued him. So then he countersued, and then being extremely confident after what happened in the Satoshi in the Kleiman trial, he says, let's determine the rights of Satoshi Nakamoto, and he sued them back to determine that. And there was 4 issues to be decided: was whether or not they combined these cases. There was a database rights case. There was the identity case, which is the identity of the author of the Bitcoin white paper. And they combined everything into one, and they said they were going to hold off on the database rights case and the basically the case against BTC Core, deciding that BTC Core was passing off as Bitcoins. That was all going to go on hold until this Copa versus Wright case was determined about the identity issue. And so they just determined the 4 issues that was Craig Wright the author of the Bitcoin white paper? Was he the inventor of the Bitcoin system? Was he the 2 other exact questions? Anyways, the trial court said no. And so the trial court, which was Meller, he said, no, that's not what happened. And if you look back at the trial, I was following it every single day, it was a major handicap. I mean, you got to really give Craig a little bit of credit. I mean, I don't want to make excuses for him, but you had this guy, Ager Hansen, who was at the head of nChain, and he was also at the head of managing the litigation for this case. So he was running strategy, he was doing the expert witnesses, and he was doing everything for Craig, way of navigating on this. So he brought in 2 expert witnesses to rebut the Madden report and the Rosenthal report, and then both of those expert witnesses were found to not have any. Basically they agreed with Madden and Rosenthal, so they were completely useless. And Craig thanks Ager Hansen for those expert witnesses, and of course it's an excuse, but it is what it is. But then what's come out later now is that so as soon as Craig lost that case, they said he wasn't Satoshi Nakamoto. He then appealed it, and then he promptly brought back the passing off case, which was on hold pending the determination of that Copa case. So he brought back this passing off case, and he filed it independently on his own. And he said, okay, I'm not Satoshi Nakamoto. Fine. That's what you guys said. But I still have, as an investor, as a miner, as an early Bitcoin user, I still, I built businesses based upon the white paper and the promise that Satoshi had made. And because of that, I'm entitled to relief here. And so he brought this case back and revived it. And then COPA, they found one thing inside of the case, one line that he used in the original passing off case, one sentence in the case. And they say, oh, look, Judge, there's one sentence in here that it looks like he still says he's Satoshi Nakamoto. He's still talking about that here, Judge. Look. And you know what? And by the way, we say that he didn't put up the stuff that he was supposed to on his websites. And you know, Judge, you know what? This is just a really inconvenient and it's harming our clients. We want to have him held in contempt of court for violating the court's order. You said that he wasn't allowed to say he was Satoshi Nakamoto anymore. That's the court said at the last case. And so he's violating the court's order, and we want to have the relief, which will be injunctive, which we want to enjoin him from doing that, which he's already been enjoined. Now we want to hold him in contempt. And so if they find him in contempt at this hearing, what's going to happen is that Miller in his judgment says that he will actually not issue a written finding until afterwards. So Craig was ordered to go in person to the hearing. So COPA brought this motion, and then Craig appeared remotely, right? And he didn't have an attorney, which is really interesting now. He's not using an attorney anymore. He so far he spent $17 million on the COPA case. 17 million. All right. And the COPA case, a lot of that was mostly going to attorneys. So he was very disappointed in how his attorneys handled the case, because they brought in Lloyd Gravenue at the last minute to represent him at the case, which is a really fine King's counsel. But, you know, they substituted some other guy out. It was sloppily done. They weren't prepared. His firm was not prepared to represent him. They had these poor expert witnesses that like I said, Edgar Hansen was managing. And gosh, I mean, what did they get? $5 million that he paid them, and maybe more. I don't even know how much he paid them independently. A lot. And so he was very disappointed. So he said he's going to do it on his own. But now the court, COPA said he needs to be in person at the hearing. That way, in America, you would order the person into custody after the contempt hearing. That's how it would happen. But then in the written judgment, Miller says that he's not going to do that. Kind of like... Now, this is where the trick comes in, because if you trust the judge, okay, and you really believe that he's really going to be fair and honest, well, he says he's going to wait to holding Craig into custody. You know, he doesn't use the words custody, but he says he's basically going to wait to doing that until after he makes his written finding. And then he'll make a recommendation over to the criminal court for the criminal court to take Craig into custody and issue a bench warrant. So Craig will have time to flee, and he could be a fugitive from the law potentially. Or Miller could say, you know what, screw it, I changed my mind. Because last time, he's already changed his mind a couple times now in the way he operates. So we know that it doesn't really matter what he says in court. He changes things later. Now remember that was a big deal for COPA, because they said when he said, he said in court, Craig's not Satoshi, that was it, and it was final. And then Dorsey and Saylor were posting on their X account that, and they were celebrating. But now he did the same thing in the last contempt scheduling hearing, and he said, well, you made this big issue about this guy, Mr. Pierce. You know, he was on some shows. Oh, he's on Gavin Mail's shows. He was on there doing shows with him, and on his show, he was saying that I knew him. Well, you know what? Yeah, I knew him. So what? But we never talked about Bitcoin. He said specifically, we never talked about Bitcoin at our meetings. We didn't. And I don't remember any of that. Now in his written judgment, he says, yeah, actually I did know Mr. Pierce. I did go to those COPA events. He said this actually went to a COPA event in the oral judgment. And then he said, now in the written judgment, that, you know, he did talk about Bitcoin with Mr. Pierce. He did remember that. He forgot about that before. Now he remembers it. Watching these videos on YouTube helped refresh his memory, he said. So now, but he said it's not a big deal. And, you know, Craig shouldn't be so worried about that because he's not biased. He gave his scout's honor and raised his right hand. He said he's not biased. So actually, I think what's going to happen is Craig's going to raise a judicial challenge on Wednesday. And I think that he's going to raise a judicial challenge to Miller's credibility because he's completely compromised the court proceedings with what he's done with lack of disclosure. Miller wrote in his judgment that he was going to basically you know, that he knew David Pierce before the hearing. He wrote in his judgment that he also talked to that he saw David Pierce in the courtroom at trial. He said that in his judgment. But all the while, he's the judge. He sees the attorney that he knows in the courtroom. He doesn't mention it to anybody. Oh, hey guys, but he doesn't mention it to Craig. He just kept it a secret this whole time. And it's not until now in this contempt judgment that he's bringing it up. And so it's my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinion, well, not just mine, 700 people signed a petition. Now, 700 people signed a petition that they wanted this to look into and said, you know, it just looks sloppy. And then we found out Scott had written this up, and then Mr. Pierce came on a space that I had. And then Mr. Pierce, Tufty the cat, he says, hey, you better take that petition down right now or else. Scott didn't take it down. 2 days later, he finds out that it was change.org, was on change.org, who the decision maker is Jack Dorsey. Jack Dorsey's he's also the founding member of COPA. So somebody called somebody, it was likely Mr. Pierce or Judge Meller or Judge Arnold, called Dorsey and said, oh, hey, by the way, that case you're involved in, that COPA case, it's kind of messing us up right now. You know, these dumb people over there with BSV 369 and Scott, you know, these people are doing this petition and it's getting kind of viral. Would you take that down? And he's like, oh yeah, no problem. So they delete the thing off the internet. And now it's kind of being brushed all under the rug, you know, like it's not happening. But I just don't think Craig's going to let it go, you know? So we might see some fireworks on Wednesday, you know, because he doesn't have an attorney. He really, if he had an attorney, they would never challenge the judge, never. But he doesn't have an attorney, so it's a wild card. It's a lot of unknowns. What could happen? He could challenge this judge, and if he does, then there's definitely not going to be any contempt hearing because Miller will lose jurisdiction. And it will go over to Miller's disqualification will have to be heard by another judge. So we'll see. That's kind of the recap, man. How's that for a little 2 or 3 minutes?
Wow, that was great. I really appreciate that thorough rundown, Gavin. That was that's fascinating. You know, I've seen the general overview of that, but the details some of them were lost on me. But you know, if you were to challenge it, I don't know what's the procedural situation there. You know, does he challenge it and then does Meller have to say, does he have to immediately, you know, bring someone else in, or can he just say, no, I don't accept your challenge?
Yeah, there's a local rule there in the UK that actually the COPA had used prior in the case. What happened was they had the initial judge that took the case. He was, in COPA's opinion, not fit. He wasn't fit to their standards. You know, he wasn't going to be on their side. So they filed a motion under the local rules to have him disqualified, and he got disqualified from the case. So we know from the existing case that it's been done. So Craig saw that happen, right? He was obviously a party. So in this case, now that these admissions have come out from Miller, where he's literally just said, yeah, I saw the attorney in the courtroom, and yeah, we talked about Bitcoin in the past. Yeah, we went to dinner and we went to a COPA event, but so what? Doesn't matter. You know, it's not a big deal. And, you know, I'm not biased. And then he wrote a decision. In his opinion, it says that it's not necessarily the bias that matters. It's just the appearance. He doesn't have to be biased, and he may be honest and he may not be corrupt. I'm not even saying that he is corrupt at all. I don't know. I don't really think he is. I don't know. But it's just, it appears biased. It appears sloppy. It appears like, why didn't you disclose this at trial? What did you have to hide at trial? You know, Why not bring it up? You know?
Exactly. It's you're meant to be in these positions of power arbitration. You know, if you're providing assurance, you're meant to be independent, both in fact and in appearance. That's you know, it's a principle in accounting. I'm an accountant. It's principle in accounting as well. If you're providing, say, audit services, you can't, you know, even if you are totally not doing anything untoward, you can't have an appearance of impropriety if you're meant to be an independent person. So
it's easily flushed out as soon as you see the matter in court, like Miller, and he has no excuse. Oh, I didn't know the law. He knows there's no excuse. There's no plausible deniability here. So he knows the rules. He knows the law. He had a duty that right at that point to just quickly notify the parties. Oh, by the way, guys, I want to let you know there is a slight issue. It's not an issue, but I want to, address it here. I had meetings. I had dinner with Mr. Pierce. He's in the courtroom over there with HODLNOT, sitting next to HODLNOT. And Mr. Pierce is an admittedly biased party. He's been on these shows. He says he doesn't like Craig Wright. Craig Wright is not, and yeah, we did meet, we talked, but whatever happened, happened. That's it. It should have been disclosed at trial, and it wasn't. Therefore, Miller should be recused, and that's what people were wanting on that petition, to be investigated. So I don't think Craig's going to lay down on this one, but we'll see. It's all in his court. He has not laid his cards on the table, at least on X. He hasn't been posting as to what his strategy is going to be. We don't know. We don't know, but I'm definitely going to be doing a space on Tuesday, which is going to be about AI and blockchain. Tuesday, 8:30 Pacific. And then also Wednesday, right after the courtroom gets out, Wednesday, which will be 8:30 Pacific as well. That's right after the hearing. First hearing, day one. And that'll be with the guys inside the courtroom. We'll be coming out to talk on the space. And then also on Thursday, if there is a hearing on Thursday, another space at the same time. And we can hear if they take Craig away in chains and tie him up to a bed and start shooting needles in his arms, because that's what they usually do out here right away. I mean, out here, if you're found in contempt, and they'll put you in a quack house. That happened to my buddy out here. So
really, wow.
Oh yeah. That happened to my buddy. They put him in a nut house up in Napa. He actually Napa has a crazy quack house for people that try to stand up to the courts and challenge these type of proceedings. If you don't fall in line, it happened to him. He got out, thank God. He didn't go in there permanently, but they don't like that. And so we'll see how the UK, I mean, they don't have the same type of rights in the UK that we have out here. And so that's my only concern, is that, I don't know if they have the same due process over there.
Wow, that's interesting, man. I hope that doesn't happen to Craig. But like you said, you said you don't think he'll lay down. He's not one to lay down easy. He doesn't go down easy. He gets fired up. So
well, what do you think? Do you think he's going to lay down, Daniel?
No,
is he going to lay down?
I don't think so.
Daniel, what does Daniel think?
Oh yeah, he's definitely going to lay down. Well, I'm just thinking of an interview he once did where this was a while ago, but he said that if you get him on the ground, he goes after your Achilles tendon.
Okay, so
it was really funny, by the way. You should watch it. It was like he was being interviewed by this regular blockchain news reporter who didn't understand anything, and he was completely weirded out the whole time.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Okay, so Wednesday could be the Satoshi thing on Wednesday. Did you say Wednesday or Tuesday, Gavin?
Wednesday is the contempt motion hearing. That'll be 8:30 on Wednesday. Yeah, so
that's when the hearing is, or that's when your space on the hearing is?
Both. It's the space. The hearing will be ending at 4:30 p.m. UK, and that's right when I'm starting the space. So
okay,
by the time he walks out of the courtroom, I'm going to have guys there, walking out of the courtroom with him, and hopefully, if he's not chained up, going off to shackles, then maybe Craig will. I don't know. I doubt Craig will talk, but I'm sure the guys will ask.
This is going to be just like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly is an interesting saga, that's for sure. And anytime there's Craig court proceedings, it always craters my productivity because it's very fun to follow along with. But hopefully this will be quick and painless. But we'll see what happens. So yeah, follow Gavin Mel, MEHL on Twitter. Check out his spaces; they're great. Thanks for the rundown, Gavin. Greatly.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you, Daniel. Good chatting with you, and thank you very much, Craig. I'll step down and see you guys at the top.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. That was very informative. I knew about some of that stuff, but it was way crazier than I realized.
Indeed. Yeah, it's a fun show, the Craig Wright legal saga. I haven't been this attached to a legal saga since O.J. Simpson. This is way more wholesome. Okay, cool. I think